A light lunch with Chris West.
Academy FM.
If you want to meet an expert in pop music, visit the Birchington Literary Festival this weekend and meet Peter Chexfield. He's critically acclaimed author who I'm very pleased to be speaking to now. Good afternoon, Peter.
Hello, Chris.
Now, Peter, you're a local author. You live locally in Thanet. When did you first hear pop music?
Well, probably before I was born. I was born in 1963, but my first memories, really, not just what was on the radio, but my parents' record collection. You know, they bought, I don't know, Elvis and Ricky Nelson and Chubby Checker and Little Eva and Adam Faith, even Charlie Drake and people like that. So yeah, but pre-memory, really.
Wow, that was obviously a really cross-section of type of music you were listening to at that particular time. You've written 12 critically acclaimed books. You had 2 photographic books, which have sold throughout the world. When did you first become a pop music author?
Fairly recently. For years, decades, for a good 30 years or so, I've been writing the occasional article. I had a couple of things in Record Collector and a couple of other magazines, and I'd be writing for fan clubs. But I was always just writing little lists and things, just for my own use, really. And my other half, Heather, about 6 years ago, said, try and do something with this. And I did, and I spent about a year editing it and putting it together and writing it and whatever. And and it did well. So and that was going to be just a one-off. But what happened was, 2 months after it was published, I had a heart attack. I'm absolutely fine now, but that was the best thing that could have happened to me in a way, because I couldn't get out and about so much, out cycling and walking. So I thought, right, let's work on another book. And then I got addicted, and, it's just gone on forever. So, yeah.
Well, it makes there's good that comes out of bad, isn't there? Which is great. And you've written books about Jerry Lee Lewis, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Top of the Pops, and many more. Which book have you enjoyed writing the most?
Probably the most recent one on Jerry Lee Lewis. I've really enjoyed that. I've seen him several times. I even met him a couple of times, and I knew his family quite well. I stayed at his sister's house a couple of times, and I never really planned to write a Jerry Lee Lewis book, but what happened, 2 things really. Late last year, Jerry Lee Lewis died, and I started listening to the records again, digging out the old photos, and also I reached 60, and that made me nostalgic. I think, let's look back at all these things. I just made notes, and it's really been acclaimed, even by his family. But believe it or not, it took 2 months from the idea to publication. It just really rolled, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So, yeah. And
he was a very interesting character as well, wasn't he?
To say the least. Put it another way, he was one of my heroes, but I wouldn't want him as a neighbour.
Very true. And there are thousands of books written about the Beatles. What makes your book different to the rest?
Mine's just about their TV appearances. There's been a couple of more Beatle books on the TV appearances, but I extended mine to cover the solo years. So you've got Paul McCartney and Wings, and Ringo with his all-star band on TV in America and all that. And that came out about 4 years ago now, and I was fairly pleased with it. Yes.
And is there a band or an artist that you haven't written about that you would like to write about?
Yeah, I'm working on one right now. I'm not going to tell you exactly who it is, but it's a 60s group, and they still tour. But I know a couple of the members quite well, and I haven't told them yet, and I want them to get involved or write a foreword. So I don't want them to hear it secondhand, but yeah. So, yeah.
So we'll wait with interest. When are you hoping that book will come out?
Probably month, 6 weeks. It's near the final stage. I've done about 80%. So.
Oh, that sounds good. Well, Peter, I said you're at the Birchington Lit Festival this weekend. Which day will you be there?
I'll be there on a Saturday. I'm actually there at the opening. I'm one of the first ones on. I'll be on at 11 o'clock, and I'll be interviewed by Nick Evans, another local author. I've met a couple of times. I know him vaguely, very nice chap. And, I'm flattered. But I've never appeared at a literary festival before. I've done dozens of radio interviews, but my debut would be opening a big festival. I'm like, oh God, so the pressure's on.
Oh, that sounds really good. And will you have your books with you that you can sign and sell?
I'll have my most recent two, the Jerry Lee Lewis one, and also the one before that. It was called Undercover, 500 Rolling Stones cover versions that you must hear. And I interviewed about 130 people for that. I'll just tell you a few of the names. Sandy Shaw, Mark Armand, Steve Harley, Cockney Rebel, Wendy James, a Transvision Vamp, Chris Norman, a Smoky, PJ Proby, there's a character, Chris Spedding, Thelma Houston, and all these are just Stones covers. And I've got quite a response. I wrote to a lot of them. Yeah, as I say, 130 interviews of that, so I'm very, very, very pleased with it. So.
Wow, that sounds great. Well, Peter, thank you very much for speaking today and enjoy your time in Birchington.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that concludes the Light Lunch for this Monday. Don't forget the Birchington Literary Festival is this coming weekend on Saturday and Sunday in Birchington. Coming next on Academy FM, it's Lee Patrick.